Targeting the best values in each round of your fantasy football draft ultimately leads to you drafting the guys that you want and the players that honestly have the most upside in each round. ADP is great and it allows you to follow something to know where to target players and when to go get guys you want. But sometimes you just have to go attack the best values in each draft. And that's why I'm here today to discuss the players that you should be targeting in each round of your PPR fantasy football drafts to go out and win your league. So let's hop right in this video on Blitz Fantasy Football. What's going on, everybody? My name is Ryan Linkletter, and I'm here today. My ad is at BlitzLink, and we are talking the best values in each round of your fantasy football drafts. Honestly, there are so many good players that you can find in each of these rounds, but here are my favorite picks in each round. And we're going to start off in round one, and it is going to be Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey's finally healthy this year, and it's a great sign for all of us Christian McCaffrey owners that want to see him back. Obviously, the Achilles injury was really rough last year, but it looks like he is back and healthy. He averaged 18.5 touches and 93.7 total yards, all playing 81 to 94% of snaps last year, which is still really, really good numbers, despite the fact he was struggling with injuries and obviously trying to stay within the lineup. He wasn't able to do that, and that's why he wasn't very good last season, finishing as the RB69 overall, but he still had 1.8 yards per route run, and he still was eighth best among 70 qualified running backs in terms of situational fantasy points per touch in the backfield. So he still has a really valuable backfield where he is going to be able to work in and earn himself a lot of volume in the 49ers offense. And we've seen Christian McCaffrey be an absolute league winner when he's healthy. Listen, McCaffrey this year, I'm not guaranteeing the fact that he's going to be healthy because that's something that we just can't predict. But sometimes you need to draft for upside. And getting McCaffrey at the back half of your first round is something that I love doing. McCaffrey has top one upside at the running back position based on his usage and based on the efficiency numbers, still suggesting that this guy can play at an elite level. And I love stacking myself with Christian McCaffrey at the back half of my first round. My next player here, Brian Thomas Jr. here. We're BTJ from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Brian Thomas is going to be in for a monster season in year one with Liam Cohen at the helm. He among 72 receivers during weeks 13th through 18th last year. He ranked fourth in target share and seventh in yards per route run while ranking fifth in receiving yards per game. He truly broke out towards the end of last year, and he finished wide receiver 4 overall despite having a slow start. BTJ is a rising player in an offense that's going to be much better in 2025 with a healthy quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, an added weapon in Travis Hunter, and potentially even a better running game with a bounce back season from Travis Etienne mixed in with Tank Bigsby. Now, the defense is not very good in Jacksonville. I'm not expecting it to be very good. Does that mean it's going to shy me away from, the offensive side of things? No, it's even better. This offense is going to have to throw the ball a lot to stay in these games. Liam Cohen's been a wide receiver friendly coach throughout his career, and I love myself some BTJ throughout my drafts. My next player in round 3, and this player better not be falling to round 3 anymore. It is Chase Brown from the Cincinnati Bengals. Chase Brown is about as good as it comes at the running back position, and you're finding him priced at the RB11 right now, which is crazy. On my big board, I have him within my top 6 team. Listen, Chase Brown knows what he's going to be doing. When the first week of the preseason, he played 80% of snaps. Out of 12 total plays, he had 8 touches. Last season, when he was the starter, he ranked the RB3 in points per game, over 20 points per game. It's Chase Brown or bust this year. Brown is going to be in for such a good season. He had 1,350 total yards last year with 11 touchdowns. This Bengals offense uses running backs at such an elite clip, and that fact hasn't changed, whether it's been Joe Mixon back there or Chase Brown, and it's going to continue this year with Samaje Perine playing sparingly for this Bengals offense. And I am targeting Joe Mixon in every single draft, or not Joe Mixon, Chase Brown in every single draft I can, because the upside within this Bengals offense is legit this year. Don't look at the schedule, look at the usage, and Chase Brown is going to have it this year. Our next guy is George Kittle, though, a guy that I absolutely love finding myself in the 4th round in drafts. Kittle was a tight end 1 overall last year in different formats. He finished tight end 3 in PPR with 15.8 points per game. And we saw with all the injuries last year, the amount of usage he had in the 49ers passing game. Great news for Kittle. Deebo Samuel's gone. Brandon Ayuk's not healthy. Juwan Jennings isn't healthy. and he's still there, and he's going to be the most efficient pass catcher in this offense. He is a point per touch monster. He's always one of the highest receivers in terms of yards, and his point total is not necessarily relying on a ton of receptions to get there. Last year, he had 1,100 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. George Kittle in the fourth round, paying a premium for a guy like Trey McBride and Brock Bowers makes no sense to me when you can settle on a guy like George Kittle as your tight end one later on in your draft. And that's absolutely what I'm going to be looking for, is snagging George Kittle up in that point. And another guy I want to snag up that's a little bit of a different trend than where I've been going. I've been going with a little bit of older guys besides BTJ, and it's a rookie. Tet McMillan from the Carolina Panthers is going to be an absolute monster this year. And I absolutely love the fact that I can get Tet within the 5th round. He's going to be so good. He had 174 passes caught over the last 2 years with 18 touchdowns and 15.5 yards per catch for the Arizona Wildcats. Now he finds himself in Carolina, where he's clearly being utilized as the team's primary wide receiver. In the preseason with the ones, he had 5 targets, 2 catches for 43 yards, made a sick contested catch on the sideline as well. He absolutely has the upside to be Bryce Young's favorite target in 2025, making for a monster season. I love grabbing myself Tet McMillan because he has elite upside at the middle half of your draft, where I'm getting potentially my wide receiver 3 who has wide receiver 1 upside, which is exactly what we want to be buying into for fantasy football. My next player in round 6 is a similar rookie who has a ton of upside, and it is RJ Harvey for the Denver Broncos. Harvey has been an absolute monster over the last 2 seasons at UCF, over 1,400 rushing yards in each season. This guy's a home run hitter at the running back position. In his preseason debut, he played 67% of snaps with the starters with a 40% route participation. He's going to be really good on 3rd down. Last season, Denver utilized the running backs 8th most in terms of fantasy production, which is a good sign, and they didn't have any fantasy production out of there, so there is some positive regression to be due. That means J.K. Dobbins and RJ Harvey can be good within this offense. They both can be really good players. Now, let's say Dobbins goes down, isn't healthy. RJ Harvey immediately turns into a middle tier to high tier RB2, into a running back 1 right away, which is something I absolutely want to see. He's an elite talent, and he's going to be an elite offense. And also, John Gruden mentioned, don't be surprised that this guy has 300 touches, which is exciting to see. Jerry Jeudy's our next player in round 7, and Jeudy had a breakout year last year in his first year for the Browns. 1,200 receiving yards, only 4 touchdowns, but he finished as the wide receiver 13 overall with 14.2 points per game. Last season, makeshift quarterback situation, going to be something similar this year, but the Cleveland Browns are going to have to throw the ball, and Jeudy was really productive for them heading into this season. Now you have Joe Flacco entered in, who was very friendly to Browns pass catchers 2 years ago, and even Colts pass catchers last season. Jerry Jeudy's a player you can find in the 7th round who at least is going to be a solid flex in PPR formats in 12-man leagues, versus a guy that has high upside like Jerry Jeudy does, where he was a high-end wide receiver 2 last year with only 4 touchdown catches. Jeudy is going to have more touchdowns and is going to be a better pick in 2025. All righty, our next player here is a Green Bay Packers receiver that's been getting a ton of hype out of training camp in the preseason. We all know who it is at this point. He's rising in drafts right now, and it's Matthew Golden. Listen, I wasn't a big Matthew Golden stan heading into the draft process. Even when he got drafted by Green Bay, I'm all in now. This guy played 100% of snaps with the ones in his first preseason game, had a 20% target share, and it's not necessarily like it's the talent thing for me. He's a speedy receiver who needs to develop his route tree. It's the fact that Matt LaFleur is already utilizing him as his clear wide receiver 1, despite having a makeshift receiver room a majority of the time since Davante Adams left. I need to find as many Matthew Goldens as I can in round 8 because the upside's legit. Like, this is a guy at Texas that didn't necessarily have a volume to be a consistent producer, but he took the top over defenses, and it's a guy that can get the ball in his hands and take it to the house right away. Matthew Golden's a playmaker the Packers desperately needed, and they got him. So it's exciting to find him in round 8, a guy with real wide receiver 2 upside at that point in drafts. And incoming, my favorite player, yes, he's a Viking. He's in the same division in round 9. Jordan Mason. Man, this guy is the best pick in fantasy drafts, and I'm just going to say that right now. Mason is coming over from the 49ers, where he averaged 14.3 points per game, and they traded for him in Minnesota when they already had Aaron Jones. They could have got another running back off of free agency, potentially like a J.K. Dobbins. But no, they wanted Jordan Mason in this backfield. Last year, he had 789 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, and he finished as the RB1 41 overall. Listen, he already has been rumored to take over the goal line work in this offense. He's going to have a significant role in this offense, and it could be more of a timeshare to what we saw between Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison than what we've seen the last few seasons where it's been Aaron Jones sprinkling a little bit of Cam Akers. No, Jordan Mason is going to have a big role in an offense with an older running back who struggled with hamstring problems over the past few seasons. Jordan Mason has league-winning upside for a Vikings team that invested hundreds of millions of dollars in their interior offensive line this offseason and is going to have one of the better units there. They have a great play-calling coach. They have a young quarterback. They have elite receivers. The running game in Minnesota is going to be great, and the guy that I want in this backfield is Jordan Mason. He is by far my favorite pick in round 9 and by far one of my favorite picks in the draft regardless of round. Another player I find myself targeting a ton is Justin Fields. Fields is an absolute steal right now, and he's one of the reasons why I love going late quarterback in a lot of my formats right now. Basically every year he is a starting quarterback. He's a top 8 guy in terms of points per game over the last 3 years. He's going to get you a high floor with his rushing upside, and last year he was even better in terms of passing. He was 4th in accurate throw rate and 9th in turnover worthy plays when he was a quarterback, which is a step in the right direction for a guy that hasn't necessarily produced a lot as a passer in the NFL. If he can play like he did towards his end of his Steelers time and play within this Jets offense well, I really do like Justin Fields as a strong fantasy option. I don't know if he's going to be a good NFL quarterback, and I'm not concerned about that because being a good NFL quarterback does not correlate with being a good fantasy quarterback. Justin Fields has a high floor with his rushing upside, and I'm banking on the fact that this guy is going to be a walking 20 points for me in a Jets offense that's going to need his legs to compete in a lot of these games. My next player here, Jaden Higgins. Higgins is an interesting one for sure, and he's been rising up my boards a hair. Week 1 of the preseason, he operated as the team's primary outside receiver. He played the first 3 drives and was out of the game. He's a guy competing for a starting spot next to Nico Collins on the outside, and I think he does have that role locked up. Jalen Noel, on the other hand, has a higher road as he has to climb Christian Kirk for that slot role. He was really good in college. He was the highest graded receiver according to PFF. He had a 55.6 contested catch rate at Iowa State last year. The Texans are going to have to throw the ball a lot this season. Joe Mixon is not healthy. We don't know what we're going to get out of Nick Chubb, and we don't know what Woody Marks is as a player in the NFL right now. Texans are going to need to throw the ball, and a guy that I want to invest in PPR formats is Jaden Higgins because of that. Our next player here, another quarterback, it is Drake May, who has a lot more talent around him in New England now, which is exciting. He was top 12 in points per game last year at 18 points per game when he finished a game or was starting a game, which is nice to see. He had the second highest scramble rate among quarterbacks last year, which is higher than Josh Allen, and he would have finished with over 600 rushing yards if he maintained that pace over a full season. The same thing with Justin Fields. Drake May has an extremely high floor due to his rushing upside, which is exciting for me for sure. If the offense is better, which I expect it to be, Stephon Diggs, Travion Henderson mixed in there now, a stronger offensive line with Will Campbell, Morgan Moses, this team is going to be much better. Josh McDaniels will be very beneficial for Drake May developing as a passer as well. A great target towards the end in a late round quarterback that I think everybody should be scooping up if you miss out on Justin Fields for sure. The next few guys, we have Dylan Sampson here. Sampson's a player that I find myself targeting with Judkins' legal situation being out of the work. And listen, Cleveland drafted 2 running backs within the first 4 rounds, and it shows their lack of trust in Jerome Ford. Sampson, is a guy coming back in just because he was drafted, not necessarily first 2-3 rounds like RJ Harvey, Amarian Hampton, Ashton Genty. It doesn't mean he's a bad prospect. He was the 2024 SEC Offensive Player of the Year. He's a really strong third down back, and he's going to be a very good receiver out of the backfield. And with Joe Flacco being as old as he is, Dylan Sampson is going to be a dump down merchant in Cleveland for a team that's going to be trailing a lot in PPR drafts. I want that guy, and it's a guy that could have 18 to 20 touches a game, depending on Ford's health, depending on Judkins never shows up, and it's a guy I want to be targeting towards the end of drafts. Cedric Tillman, his teammate, as a guy that I also like. From week 7 to 12 last year, we thought this guy was the second coming of Christ, and he was pretty good. He was a wide receiver, 12 in points per game with a 23.3% first read share. Now enter Joe Flacco in the heavy pass offense. I really like what he can do. And he kind of tailed off towards the end of last year. He wasn't healthy, wasn't getting the looks as he did during that stretch in the middle of the year. But I think Cedric Tillman and Joe Flacco could have a strong connection. He's a true wide receiver, too, for the Browns now, with Elijah Moore being gone. So I like Cedric Tillman, throwing a flyer on him at the end of drafts. And then the last player here, it is a Chicago Bears running back, and it's Roschon Johnson here. I am finding a way to invest in one of the Bears running backs in fantasy football this year, whether that is Kyle Montague or Roschon Johnson as the early down potential back. In the last 3 years, Ben Johnson has had 6 running backs over 11.5 points per game and has been feeding these guys touchdowns. Listen, I don't know if the Bears offense will ever match what it was in Detroit last season, but if Roschon Johnson is the primary goal line back in a Ben Johnson offense, he is worth a round 15 flyer to throw into your lineups. And that's exactly what I want to do with this Roschon Johnson pick right here. All in all, though, guys, those are the players that I am targeting and I think are the best values in each round of your PPR fantasy football drafts. Let me know down in the comment section below if there's any players you agree or disagree with or would potentially switch out with. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for more Blitz fantasy football content, and I'll catch you guys next time.